The health minister pushes for growing cannabis at home. Test and go updates, and an asteroid is heading over Thailand. That's all coming up on today's Good Morning Thailand. Hello and welcome to Good Morning Thailand. I'm Jay, and joining us as our special guest today is Forrest Lee.
Hey guys.
We're back in the city and he's back as well, and of course none other than Tim Newton himself.
Sort of shunted down the end of the table.
That's right. We've swapped positions. Nobody's noticed.
Does it matter?
It does not matter.
No.
All right.
This is my good side.
Yes, of course.
If I have a good side.
You don't have one.
No, it's probably you're seeing the bad side, unfortunately.
All right, let's get straight into it. We've got a couple of serious topics, a couple of light-hearted topics as usual. The first one regarding drugs and cannabis. Now, the decriminalization.
Yeah, how do you spell that?
Of cannabis has reached a new milestone. Now, it is hemp and cannabis is no longer under the narcotics code in Thailand.
Well, they're going to actually make a decision tomorrow.
Yes.
And they're going to try and remove it from the list of narcotics. Currently, it's a Category 5 narcotic.
Yes.
That's going to happen tomorrow, but there's a big push to try and get it off the list.
Well, it does not appear on the newly implemented narcotics code, which actually got some people confused as to can we grow cannabis at home, and people actually started, and there was an article out in the Bangkok Post telling people that, hey, it's still illegal, please don't start growing cannabis at home. Not yet, anyways.
And I think we should also say to people that what you're allowed to grow is not necessarily the cannabis you think you can grow.
Yes.
Because it's...
the THC level needs to be 0.2 or below.
So in other words...
0.2%.
You're going to smoke a lot of this and get a bad headache and not much of a high.
Yes.
So the THC thing is really the central issue. They're legalising for you to grow a tree in your house that's going to do nothing. But what's the point?
And we're expecting, you'd have to be a proper farmer to know how much THC level there would be in the plant. Like for someone like me, if I decided to grow cannabis tomorrow, I wouldn't know how to control that.
So the police are going to sort of raid Forrest's house, go into his back garden, say, what's this, sir? And you can say, well, it's 0.2%.
It's 0.19.
And what are they going to do? Are they going to test it on? The whole thing is ridiculous.
Yes. Well, the health minister, Kun Anutin Shanvirakun, he's been one of, he comes from the Phumjai Thai party. They've always been very vocal about legalizing cannabis and let's get the drug out there, and it has many medicinal purposes. So they've been all for weed and cannabis. However, he's made a point that he's going to be on a meeting tomorrow and he's going to be talking about removing it completely and making it not criminal to grow these.
Was it in the same category as, you said it was a Category 5 narcotic?
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is the same category as cocaine or much harder drugs?
That is an excellent question, Forrest.
Well, I suppose Category 1 is the harshest, the nastiest. Category 5 is probably the least, the weakest. I think Category 5 is the lowest category you can have.
Okay.
But I mean, I think the other thing is, I lead a very sheltered life. Forrest is much more sort of hip than I. How many of your friends, without naming anybody, are sort of use cannabis regularly, like the real stuff?
Well, we've got Charlie and Smith and John.
This guy over here. And
Allegedly. All this is allegedly.
Allegedly. How dare you?
So I'm just
sorry.
interested. I mean, do you got people who use cannabis regularly? There's a lot of silence.
No, everybody knows.
Yes.
Yes. Even I know. Even I know.
A lot of people.
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, this is sort of all a bit of a hush-hush, don't tell anybody thing.
Yes.
But it still has serious ramifications. You can be dragged off to jail for smoking weed at the moment in Thailand.
Yes.
The thing I want people to understand is that this is purely a political motive. Phumjai Thai Party ran in the 2019 election on a platform of legalising marijuana. And they were needed. They won the fourth highest number of votes, but they were needed in the coalition, which has given Anutin all this power as a deputy prime minister, and all this rubbish, this sort of media hype about legalising cannabis. Well, all they've done is legalise a plant with 0.2% of the stuff that people actually want.
Well, how dare you, Tim, because I have a direct quote that says, what we're doing is to allow people to make the most of cannabis, especially patients who rely on cannabis-based treatment. Shame.
So what they're going to farm it, and they're going to cook it up and make the cannabis oil and rub it on their pimples and things? What a load of codswallop.
I know nothing about cannabis, know much about it to comment, to be honest.
Okay.
But I have heard there are a lot of medical benefits of it. I'm guessing it's going to be regulated. It definitely has to be regulated. It has to be done right if it is legalized. And the problem with Thailand that I can already predict and see happening is that people will still lose control, and the law won't be enforced, it won't be regulated, and things will get out of control, and then people will use that as, see, I told you it should have never been legalized in the first place. That's what I can already predict happening.
Well, I agree. I think the whole thing's been botched. What Anutin's done with his clarification is just make it even more confusing.
All right, let's move on to our second topic, which is regarding the Test and Go. The world famous now Test and Go.
Here we go again.
So, which part of Bangkok do you live?
I live.
You sort of live around
I live in the Prakanong area.
the sort of Sukhumvit area.
Yeah.
Have you noticed less foreigners wandering around?
It's like, it's still the same.
Yeah?
It's still the same regular expats that still wander around.
Okay. You don't get out much.
No, I just stay indoors.
So what they're saying is the Test and Go, the Tourism and Sports Minister has actually come out and said, well, he's put a date on it. He's saying by the start of February.
That's right.
But what he wants and what he'll get on at the Thursday meeting of the CSA could be two different things. So apart from Test and Go perhaps coming back by the start of Feb, there's a few other things in the wind.
That's right. Of course, they've been talking about it for a while now, but adding more sandboxes is another big solution if the Test and Go does not actually open up itself. And also rearranging color zones so that more provinces and areas in Bangkok will be allowed to be more free and have less restrictions.
So my understanding is that last month they took away, they suspended the Test and Go. They eliminated a couple of the sandboxes. Now they want to bring it back.
Test and Go.
That's right.
Yes, they're trying to bring Test and Go back.
Well,
because the Omicron thing is over, surge is over, we need to get back to opening up the borders.
Well, this was something I was talking about yesterday morning, that the health minister, who was, one of the most vocal people about shutting down Test and Go because of the Omicron variants were going crazy high. He did come out yesterday and also said that now that we know that people have mild symptoms, maybe it's time to bring it back. We need to bring back the tourism. And like Tim said earlier, the Tourism and Sports Minister, Kun Piphat Ratchakit Prakan, said while 5 to 15 million international arrivals was the target, if we open it by February, we can still get about 8 million by the end of the year. 8 million tourists coming into Thailand.
This is the same Tourism and Sports Ministry that last week was predicting 10 to 15. If it wasn't last week, it was the week before. They were saying 10 to 15 million tourists this year.
He's corrected himself and said now 8. So
in only 2 weeks.
That's right. And in about 6 months, he's going to say 2 to 3.
Couple of million.
We'll see. No, it's okay. He's being optimistic.
So, Forrest, you're sort of poo-pooing the changes of mind in Test and Go?
Let the man dream, I say.
Just listen. I'm not gonna.
Yes, you are. You are.
Come on, Forrest.
You're going to talk about it.
All right, no.
Break down the chains.
Listen, if he wants, if 8 million is his goal, hey, more power to you. Go. I'm just gonna keep my mouth shut.
So, if you look at his upper guesstimate a couple of weeks ago, 15 million tourists. When Thailand was already firing, say in 2019, they had nearly 40 million tourists. Now, we know that about 25 to 30% of those were Chinese tourists.
Yeah.
So you take them out of the equation at the moment. So then that sort of 40 million is down to about 25 million automatically. So, I mean, this number of 5 to 15 million tourists this year is completely fanciful. And every time they make these predictions, they just make themselves look silly. There's no way there's going to be even 8 million tourists this year. They've got to think that the whole world is not just waiting out there to re-enter Thailand. There are there's a lot of other places they can go to.
How dare you?
Yeah, Thailand.
Tim's a Thailand hater.
Oh, for God. Don't you start.
Well, you're either with them or you're against them. Normally it does feel like that's the sentiment around here.
Well, the fact is that we have a go at the TAT because and the Tourism Ministry because they make these ridiculous predictions.
Is that why they never invited me for lunch?
That's probably one reason.
Makes sense.
I'd love to get them in here to talk to them and say, look, please explain your mental process in coming up with these numbers. Where is it a crystal ball? Is it a special calculator? How do you actually come up with these numbers?
I shouldn't say this, but I can see the TAT building from where I live. Maybe I live too close to them.
You gotta
Maybe
move,
it's
man.
sensitive information that I've let out in the public.
Walking
now.
past every day with your Thaiger shirt on.
We should go visit. No, yeah, we should go visit them or try to get.
I'd be
in contact
delighted to talk to them and try and understand what's going on in their head.
All right. You actually had an email regarding Test and Go.
Well, are you ready for this, guys? I think this might shock you.
We're ready.
As I go to my... how do I get back to my thing? Make sure you're ready. Timmy, here we go. Are you ready for this, guys?
Yes.
This is going... I'll say it's from Colin, and it says TNG, just the first hurdle. On the 3rd of January, I tested positive for COVID when I took a PCR test on a return flight to the UK. I was incarcerated in a hospital room for 10 days, even though I was asymptomatic. That's what happens here. Upon release, I left the country the next day, but because my visa expired on the 5th of January, I was fined 4,000 baht by immigration at the airport for overstaying. Oh. I wasn't the only one fined for overstaying due to quarantine incarceration. Crazy Thailand. So I wrote back to this guy saying, hey, can you please give us some more details? Which immigration? Where did this happen? Where were you incarcerated? He said he sent me the information, but I haven't received it yet. But just reading through the thread, I do believe this man's story is true. And it is one of just many messages we get every day of various hassles people are having with the Thailand pass, with the sandbox, the possibility of testing positive when they're in Thailand, and the fact that they do get basically incarcerated and have to stay in there even if they're completely asymptomatic. So, Colin, we do feel for you, and it seems to me that that's a bit of a racket. If you say, hey, I was incarcerated by your government, and I'm 8 days late leaving the country because you decided to put me into a hospital. So it's not my fault, it's your fault. Yet he had to pay 4,000 baht. What do you think?
That sucks.
It sucks.
It really
sucks big time.
Yeah. Well, this is another classic example of... I can't understand that there are people who don't think about these things.
Terrible
bureaucracy.
bureaucracy.
How do you charge someone 4,000 baht for overstaying while you force them to be in quarantine? You know.
Now I don't know.
It's shameful.
I'm trying to find, and we will get some more information about this because we do need some more details. But if I was standing there at the immigration, they said 4,000 baht, please. I'd be screaming from the rafters. There's no way I would have paid 4,000 baht. I mean, it was probably his flight was. The door was about to close and he had to get there. He just wanted to get out of Thailand and he paid it. But I would have been making a big fuss about that.
I think this is kind of the reason why most people are afraid to go to proper hospitals and get a COVID test, because they're afraid that once they test positive, even though they don't have any symptoms, they're going to be forced to go through a hospital quarantine out of their own dime.
And pay for it, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, certainly I know quite a few friends over the past 3 or 4 weeks. I was staying in Phuket for 3 weeks. Now, I had a cold myself. It actually turned out to be mild pneumonia. But I kept on testing myself, and I didn't test positive at any stage. But I'd made up my mind that if I did test positive on that ATK test, there wasn't a chance in hell of me going to a hospital and saying, hey, I've got COVID. Because I just didn't know what was going to happen to me. I figured I was going to be somehow locked away, incarcerated or removed. Do I still get my phone? Can I still work? I mean, I didn't know. And I think there's a lot of fear that people have because they just don't know what's going to happen to them. Now, that was my thinking. I'm sure I'm not the only one.
Yeah, it's everybody's thinking. Forced incarceration, you're going to be paying a minimum of 100,000 baht, sometimes up to 150, maybe 200.
And I'm 100% sure that the government will change this. Now, for example, specific example of that person paying 4,000 baht, they'll change that so that this doesn't happen again. But I'm just like, it's common sense where whoever did charge him, that immigration officer, or, they need to have maybe representatives who like give education regarding this, that, hey guys, we need tourists to come in here. This looks really bad for our country.
Yeah. Now,
Don't do this.
I don't like to read that story out, but I mean, I only read it out because I believe that it's legit. And as soon as we do get some more details, I'll pass them on because I'd like to make sure the immigration department get that 4,000 baht back to Colin.
All right. As for now, let's take a quick break. Once we come back from the break, guys, we'll be talking about some fun stories regarding a fake Chinese man, an asteroid, and stick
Asteroid,
boy.
where's the asteroid?
Well, careful. You'll find out after the break.
Find the coffee roast you love most. Coffee Culture delivers Thai coffee online. Whole beans or pre-ground delivered to your doorstep in Thailand. Go to coffeeculture.asia and get coffee you love delivered to your doorstep.
Welcome back. You're watching Good Morning Thailand. I'm Jay. This is Forrest, and that's Tim.
Yes.
Energy, guys. Energy. Come on. We're back from the break.
Pump.
We're back from the break. Before we continue, guys, a quick thank you to Lee, who has just become a Thaiger member yesterday.
Thank you, Forrest Lee.
You're welcome,
Was
guys.
it you, Forrest?
Yeah, it was me.
Yeah.
It was my pseudonym. I just used my last name.
You just
I
buy
see.
yourself onto the program.
Yeah.
Well,
I'll become a member if I can go on.
Well, Lee, thank you for being a Thaiger member. We appreciate the support, as well as Coffee Culture. There we go. There's a beautiful mug.
Coffee Culture mug.
That's right. You can find your ground coffee beans and ground coffee at coffeeculture.asia.
What's that website again, Jay?
That's coffeeculture.asia.
Got it.
There we go. Yesterday, Tim, we were somewhere, weren't we? We went to Bang Na.
Oh, yeah. Now, this is worth talking about.
Yes.
One of our new customers at the Thaiger, an educational institution.
That's right.
You probably don't know much about those, Forrest.
No. What's that?
With this school is like amazing. It looks
Yes.
like it's just landed from out of space.
That's right.
It's called Verso International. We got some video of it there, Jason. What an amazing place.
Absolutely.
And I'm not saying that
Stunning.
because they're a paying customer.
Yeah.
I legitimately, my jaw dropped when I arrived.
Yes.
The campus is enormous.
Yeah.
We learnt quite a lot. Firstly, that there's quite a lot of international schools around Bang Na,
Yes.
which is sort of a bit ahead of its time. It's down near south of Suvarnabhumi.
Yes.
It takes about an hour to get there from the city. All I knew before was IKEA is there, which was a reason to go there.
In Bang Na, yeah.
I've never actually been to the IKEA there, but it's not particularly easy to find. But wow,
Yes.
what a campus! It's got an indoor Olympic pool. It's got theatres, sports stadiums, full-size basketball courts,
Yeah.
football fields, Olympic running track.
It felt elite, though. I'm not gonna lie.
Sure, I mean
It's not for everyone.
Yeah, and it made me think that I've been exposed to some of these international schools here in Thailand, and they're very high quality. What do people think about the educational? These are the international schools in Thailand.
Yes.
Where were you educated, Forrest?
I was educated in the States, just a public high school. I was actually over in Bang Na, hanging out with a family friend, and we went to go pick up his daughter over at ICS, International Christian School, over in Bang Na. Same thing as what you mentioned over in Verso, like it's the elite of the elite. It's a international private Christian school, and I've spoke with some of the staff. very warm, nice people. I just want I don't have any children, but I want to send my kids there.
Yeah, every time I go to one of these schools, I think, oh, gee, I wish I could go to school now, because when I went to school, it was much more Dickensian, sort of like the education from the 1800s. It wasn't the 1800s, by the way.
You are from the 1800s.
Well, education has changed because I feel like I'm flogging the product every time. But I was talking to one of the teachers there, and they said that they've started a new way of learning. So, for example, when the kids come to school, the kids would be like, okay, guys, the teacher would be like, okay, guys, we're learning about space. What do you want to learn about space today? One guy's like, asteroids. One guy's like, oh, I want to learn how people float or whatever. And the teachers will incorporate all those thoughts and teach them that topic that day.
Is that considered Montessori style teaching?
I have no idea.
Yes, I say vaguely. I know Montessori was one of those, probably 40, 50 years ago, one of those sort of alternative educations. And I think that a lot of other institutions have taken on that idea of teaching critical thinking rather than standing there with somebody, chalk and talk and the kids just obediently obeying and listening to what they were saying.
Yeah, just memorizing.
Yeah, a fascinating place. But thank you to Cameron Fox, the head monster there. What are they called these? I think they're called head of school.
Head of school, please.
Cameron and his staff, thank you very much for being great hosts.
Is that why, sorry, quick last note, is that why international schools are that expensive? Because it's either you go to an international school or the level of education just drops significantly to something that any expat living here wouldn't want their kid to be sent to.
Well, if you go to a traditional Thai school, they're not going to be speaking English.
Yes, but a lot of the
Or
Thai
any other
schools
language.
now do have English programs. By the time they get to 10th grade, they do provide IGCSE and English curriculum exam options, but it's just not the same.
No.
The quality of teaching and education. Anyways, that's a whole episode in itself. Let's move on to
Forrest,
some...
he was going to say something.
Was he?
Just winding him up.
No, because I'm thinking. All right, have you guys seen the advertisements? The Four Kings, that Thai movie about like high school students with like
Yes.
Everywhere.
knives?
It's
Yes.
everywhere.
Very controversial.
I've talked to a couple people that have grown up around, that era, and they were like, dude, that's very accurate. It's
Yeah.
a lot like this one female friend of mine mentioned that like I would be scared to go to school because there's usually gang fights between her school and rival schools, and would take like machetes, knives, sometimes even a shotgun to wage war against rival schools. I don't want to send my kids to that kind of environment, and just play it safe and send them to an international school.
Well, times have changed. I don't think kids walking around with machetes in modern day Bangkok anymore.
Or do they?
Forrest does.
Maybe wherever Forrest goes to. But yes, I don't know about that. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about Stick Boy. Talking about sticks.
Okay. What do you guys know of Stick Boy Bangkok?
No, you told me about Stick Boy this morning, and I think both me and Forrest at the same time.
I found
went,
out about
"Who?"
Stick Boy for the first time yesterday.
So Stick Boy was a prominent blogger in Thailand, basically Bangkok, for 30 years on different platforms.
Sorry, real name Mike Mackay.
Mike,
Which means he's
Mike
American?
Mackay.
McKay.
I don't know.
McKay, sorry.
But Stick Boy's left the country. This was his latest tweet on the matter. He said, right, let's get this out of the way and I'm done with it. Have I lost my mind, had a serious mental breakdown? No. Have I left Thailand for good? Yes. Is Stick Boy finished? Yes. Do I have a drinking problem? No. Had 7 beers this year. Story closed, move on. I've actually reached out to Mike to do an interview with him because he was part of the colourful blogging scene in Bangkok for a long time. It was all about bars and girls and go-go's and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But it sort of is a bit of an end of an era, and as much as people sort of giggled about a lot of his posts, he was quite popular and ended up doing quite a lot of news stuff as well. It made me think, Forrest and Jay, that the whole sort of media scene is slowly changing. I mean, this is the end of a bit of an era as we say goodbye to Stick Boy.
Well, it's definitely an end of an era. When you told me about him, I tried to Google him. I went to his website, and it's very OG, old style. Oh, here's a pretty girl. Here's some pictures. It's like a blog. It's who does blogs anymore?
Well, yeah, but these days the media scene has changed, What do you guys think? I mean, you had a word for his audience. What did you call them?
I mean, there's a huge market of the mongers, short for whoremongers. Guys that just want to come. I mean, I don't care if that's your thing. I don't care. It's fine. But it's, there's always been a huge market for the monger crowd. Whether you're married, whether you're single, whatever. And with this current landscape, where all the go-go's, or the bar girls have gone back to their home provinces, there's nothing for him to see, to
write about,
to write about, to create content about. From a business / monetization standpoint, it just doesn't make sense for Stickboy to stay around.
So is that space being filled now by the modern YouTubers talking about those sort of topics instead? Is it that, your channel? What is your shtick? What do you call your channel? What's your vibe?
What, for me?
Yeah, on your YouTube channel.
I'm just an honest guy that just I'm just an honest guy. I don't BS around, and I'll just talk about topics that
interest you.
That interest me, that people are thinking about, but they aren't willing to talk about.
So this is the thing, the modern YouTube vibe is an individual talking about things that interest them. It's their point of view, their personality reaching out, rather than the old days where you sort of write about third-party things and you tried to write about it, this side of the story, that side of the story, or you write about other people. But these days it's sort of become about me, my feelings, and reaching out to an audience.
Yeah, but despite about me and my feelings, there's always. I mean, we still need to make content about what is broad in the current market. A lot of people are interested about the whole nightlife scene, the go-go's, the bar girls. There's always, no matter what, there's always going to be a market for that. And there's actually YouTubers that are basing their channels based off around that scene. There's food videos. You've got your Thai condo videos. It's just
very specialized.
The market is still there, but then the platforms are changing.
Okay.
Well, all I've learned from this is come up with a better name for yourself, because it might stick to you. No one.
Some people throw it, and sometimes it sticks. So farewell, bon voyage, and adios to Stickboy Bangkok. It was just an interesting part, and I used to read it from time to time and had a bit of a giggle. And that he was always a bit of a niggler at the Thaiger and the way we ran our business. But it would be great to have a talk to him and just say farewell.
Yeah, he's a lot more calmer now in his old
I'm curious,
age.
where's Mike McKay, Stickboy, headed off to next?
I think he's back in the UK. I'm not 100% sure. People, I'm sure. 212 Roger says Stickman was a god, a legend. So that he was held in high esteem by many.
All right. Guys, let's move on to another story. But before we do that, hey, Forrest, did you know that we now have a second channel?
Oh, yeah? Mine, right?
No. Our second channel, Thaiger's new channel.
What is it?
You have another channel as well?
No.
Oh, okay.
You can talk about your channel, by the way.
Yes, you can, definitely. But, ladies and gentlemen, if you are unaware, we've started a new channel called Bounce. Link will be in the description below. So if you could want to watch some entertaining videos, we will be posting only entertaining videos on there and focus only on news on the Thaiger main channel. So click the link in the description below, visit the channel, and subscribe to find some Thaiger entertainment there. You can find videos from Natty, videos from me, and other collaborations that we do from other bloggers like Forrest.
I'm going to do my demonstrations of pole dancing.
Sure.
Risky.
Yeah,
I like
that's
that.
the unfiltered section. So yes, check out Bounce. Link in the description below. As for right now, let's find out more about a fake Chinese man, a story that Forrest knows more about.
All right, here we go, guys. So a Chinese sperm imposter sued in Japan.
Oh, what?
After lying about his ethnicity, his education, and his wife.
A sperm imposter.
A sperm imposter.
How dare he?
Oh, I'm listening already.
So a Tokyo woman who sought impregnation from a sperm donor has given up her child for adoption. That sucks. After she learned that the father is actually a Chinese imposter and has sued him for nearly $3 million.
Wow.
The woman, whose husband suffers from a unknown hereditary disease, was reportedly desperate for a second child when she sought out a sperm donor online. She chose the man because he claimed to be single, Japanese, and a renowned graduate from the elite Kyoto University, when in fact the donor is actually married, Chinese, and lacks such academic credentials.
Oh no.
The woman, who is in her 30s, had intercourse with the Chinese man 10 times until she conceived in 2019. While pregnant, she discovered the man's true identity and decided she no longer wanted the child. But because it was too late in her pregnancy to have an abortion, she conceived and gave the child up to the state for adoption instead. Now,
Glad this story took a turn.
Now, I don't give a crap about her or the fake guy. I feel bad for the kid because he's not going to. This kid most likely isn't going to grow up to really get to know his biological parents. But I'm just really impressed how this guy.
But he's got a great story around the dinner table. You'll never guess who my parents are.
I don't know. But I think it's pretty. I can see how he's able to impersonate as a Japanese guy, because in Japan there's a huge Chinese diaspora. A lot of them have taken Japanese surnames, but are in fact ethnically Chinese. But the story is wild. I don't know how this could happen. What do you guys think?
The whole issue about the surrogacy, it's legal in some countries, it's not legal in others. In Thailand, they've passed a whole lot of laws about 5 years ago after one particular case with an Australian couple. But the whole, what would you call it? The legal nuances are very complex when it comes to surrogacy, and mistakes like that can be made. I mean, really, the guy is criminally negligent for lying about his ethnicity and about his educational levels. It's also a bit odd if you're scrolling through your potential surrogate and all you're looking at is their education, where they went to school.
Well, I mean, here's the additional information. They said that in Japan, sperm donation is unregulated, with artificial insemination procedures are only available at 12 hospitals nationwide in Japan.
Wow.
And men set up their profiles without restrictions online. Women search for these, profiles based off of, the physical attributes and, their education.
They're looking for the Japanese Brad Pitt,
Yeah.
who went to the Kyoto University.
Yeah, it was a strange surrogacy because they had sexual intercourse about 10 times. That's not really surrogacy, is it?
Well, so it's not always sexual intercourse. There's also a report saying that often the procreating pair will meet up at a hotel where the man will ejaculate into a sterilized cup, pass it to the woman, who will then use a syringe to self-inject the sperm into her
Really?
uterus.
Do you have to?
Yeah, I don't know.
It was on your guys' article.
Definitely getting flagged for this episode.
Okay.
This episode is not going to air.
Sorry, guys.
All right. It's all good. We get it. Okay, now...
Is the word turkey baster in there?
Martha Stewart's turkey basters. Oh, no.
Okay.
Okay, let's move on. Last story for today is regarding an asteroid.
How do I follow that? Well, I loved your opening when you say asteroid above Thailand today.
Yes.
It's not quite
It's not
that
above
close.
Thailand, but it's in the Thai skies, if that makes sense.
It's in everybody's skies.
That's right.
But how big is this asteroid? Don't you look at my notes, Forrest?
It's...
How big is the asteroid that's passing by the Earth?
If Thailanders are reporting an asteroid, it's probably just a pebble.
Right. What do you think, Jay?
It's a kilometre wide, I believe.
It's about a kilometre wide. You read the notes. It's going to fly by the Earth early tomorrow morning, about 4 a.m. Thai time.
Yes.
You won't see it because it's when they say this is really close, astronomically it's very close, but in reality it's not that close at all. 1.9 million kilometres away. So you won't be able to reach out and touch it, or there it is. You won't be able to see it. But as far as near Earth objects are concerned, this is actually a bit of a big event astronomically. So I just passed that on. We've even seen a picture of what the asteroid might look like.
Have you seen the movie Don't Look Up about an asteroid coming to hit Earth?
Yes. Did you see that on Netflix?
Coincidence?
Well, I thought that if you haven't seen it, by the way, you should, and we shouldn't give away the ending. But it was really focused about the way that the world would handle that sort of information. How there'd be all these people going, it's fake news. It's like it would automatically become a thing and everybody would have their opinions on it, whether they're astronomers or not. They would become instant experts, as we've seen with one particular pandemic over the past couple of years. Do you care about near-Earth objects? Are you worried about being struck by an asteroid?
If I die, I die.
There you go, fatalist
Wow.
to the end.
Wow.
Forrest the fatalist.
All right. Let's end the episode there, shall we?
West Texas Greg says the asteroid will have to go to Phuket for 10 days
Dude, I love West Texas Greg.
during his quarantine.
That's a quality one.
Are we going to do any of the listeners' questions today, or
Yes,
you're bored?
no,
you,
the thing
you got
is-
something to go to?
Unfortunately, yes.
Okay. Oh, he does.
Yes. So we'd like to say thank you to Forrest for joining our episode today.
Thanks for having me as always.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tim Newton, as always.
Thank you, viewer. Thank you, Jay and Forrest.
Yes, and thank you to the viewers joining us live every day. We will try to take your questions for double the time tomorrow to make up for today. But thank you for the support. Thank you for watching us live every day. There's about 510 people. If you liked the video, please click like. Really helps the YouTube algorithm and helps spread the video across even more.
Yes, bless the YouTube gods.
That's right. As for us here at the studio, we'd like to wish you a happy Wednesday and have a great day.